Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the guys from Celebrity Stalker, the very interestingly named Celebrity Stalker. How are you guys doing?
Excellent.
Doing great. How are you doing?
I am good, Charlie and Larry. Yeah, man. Like right off the bat, what a cool name and interesting name. And you guys are perhaps around a lot of celebrities. Where did this name come from?
Not them.
Yeah, not celebrities. We had kicked our singer out unceremoniously. We're still friends with him, but yeah, we had to let him go. And we were like, you know what? It's time for a new name. And Celebrity Stalker came out of a list of names. There was a list of names created. It came down to either Sour Milk or Celebrity Stalker. And we went with Celebrity Stalker. But the day we committed to Celebrity Stalker, I just took that name by the horns, and it was like I was going to create a whole backstory and a whole thing that went along with that name, kind of talking trash on social media, Kardashian love and stuff like that. Just, how in America now you could be famous without any talent whatsoever. You just need to know how to market yourself and you can have fame. It's like crazy, so Celebrity Stalker kind of was the perfect name at the perfect time, as all that stuff hit.
But the other part of it, it's not so much about stalking celebrities. It's more to do with, at least in the early days, the ability to become a celebrity from a life of crime and
Charles Manson,
being the stalker.
Bonnie and Clyde. Just how, like true crime in America, like we love true crime. We love mobster movies. We love movies about, covert CIA operations and
they made 10 video
black ops, So yeah, in America, you do something wrong, you become more famous than if you were, the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa.
I had a really interesting interview recently with Dez from DevilDriver, who also talked about this exact thing and how horrifying our addiction to some of this stuff is and some of these topics. And I had no retort. I was like, you're kind of right. I also love true crime books and movies, and a big fan of serial murderers, not because I want to be one or anything. I'm not a voyeur.
You just really like
they're fascinating. I like serial, and also they're fascinating. I think sociopathy and psychology are very fascinating stuff. But yeah, I'm with you guys. It's good times. And yeah, man, and yeah, of course, obviously not a literal name, but I just thought the name was really cool and very talented in a fun way.
It definitely is a cool name, and some people take it bad, but it goes back to like no publicity is bad publicity. So the fact that you don't like our name means you're talking about our name. The fact that you like our name, you're talking about it. Either or, it's a win-win for us. The name's unforgettable. When you hear it, you're just like, a band really named themselves that? Who are these guys?
Right. And then there's the bloody handprint on some of your stuff. That's also great. It's so creepy.
Right. Yeah, no. And the album cover itself with the with our mascot with his bullet hole in his head. And yeah, we have some dark imagery, and we we're not singing like death metal, but we definitely sing about bad things that go on and bad things that happen. We're more like a mirror on society. And it's pretty funny how you said that you're into sociopath, studying that kind of stuff, because the title track of our song is the look inside the mind of a sociopath and all the victims they leave in their wake. You don't have to murder people to kill them. You could kill people just by destroying their soul, and sociopaths have a way of doing that.
And lucky for us, we got two in the band, so we got a lot of experience.
I know our drummer and our bass player are the worst.
No, that's always the rhythm section. That's it.
Always, especially drummers. Oh man, never. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's like Spinal Tap had it right about those guys. Kaboom. Anyway, so yeah, man, I wanted to talk about sort of the latest incarnation of the band and sort of the recent history. So if you guys wanted to kind of walk through how you guys kind of how we got to here. Obviously the new record, Thrill Seekers, is out. Had a different title. The Year Provides and Takes Away. Year of the Thief, right?
Yeah, that's the new title. That's the title of the actual release. The demo release was Thrill Seekers, and then we got signed, so we yanked that down, and then we released single Thrill Seekers. but the year of the thief, I think that's 2020 for everybody.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's hear a little bit about that band history, and not, can be, whatever works for you guys. Let us hear it.
Okay. So Charlie and I, we've been jamming or playing in a band together since the late 90s. Jason, who's not on this interview, our singer bass player, him and I have been together since high school. So we've had a few different bands and gone through a few different incarnations, Jad Pony being the one that we probably had the most success
We're all
with.
only 25 years old, so this isn't that long.
No, this all happens like, from month to month. It's like your junior high girlfriend. You're like, oh, we were serious. How long did you date? Well, like 3 hours. It's like we got together at lunch, broke up by after school. It was a serious relationship though. But no, so we've been jamming for a while, and we got to a point where we were kind of done. And, I'll always play music, but the band itself was kind of like, yeah, we're kind of done with it. And Charlie, was like, hey, man, I'm not done playing music. I had taken a job on the road. And when I say on the road, I was basically on tour. I was home 8 weeks a year. And other than that, I was traveling every single week. I did that for like 3.5 years. So that'll kill a band. So Charlie went and joined another band, and I was like, wow, he joined another band. What am I doing wrong? And I that job on the road, I quit it. I took a job here closer to home and set out to do something with our band again.
Spend more time together.
Yeah, wanted to spend more time with Chuck. We are family, actually. When you've been, in a band with people for so long, you become family. You know how that goes. And I just said, no, let's do something. And I set out to make this album. I came up with a theme behind it. I came up with song titles before we had songs. I was like, no, we're doing an album. And Jason and Charlie are like, okay, we'll go along, but where'd this all come from? And it all came from, I just didn't want my band to die. I didn't want my band to die, and I wanted to bring life back to it. And here we are, signed with a record out, doing an interview with you. So we're on the right track, man. We pumped some life back into this band, and we're having a great time with it. And that's my take on it.
And we pretty much wrote all new music for this album. I think one or two we kind of rehashed or redid some older things that we had that we liked. But everything else is novel and was for this album. Like you said, we played for 20 odd years now, so you could imagine the evolution of sound that we've gone through, and things we played 15, 20 years ago that they don't jive anymore. So actually that was a pun, Larry. But inside, regardless. But so this all was new stuff that we had to put together, and one of the songs literally came together in the studio. Probably the last one that we recorded. I forget now if it was I Am or Art of War. I think it was Art of War.
I think it was I Am, actually. It was I Am. I think we had a complete song, and I came back with one extra riff. And I was like, I have a riff that's going to change this, flip this song on its head. And Jason had wrote I Am. So it was a song he had written. And I turned around and said, hey, this song does this whole time. How about we throw this riff in? And it made the song one of my favorite songs on the record. Like, I didn't know at the time, but yeah, in the studio we had, we were in there we were with Dave Klein over in Highland Park. I think we recorded over the course of 5 months. Like, we put some time into this record. We did. And yeah, being able to write in the studio was something we hadn't done in the past. We usually would go in the studio with all of our stuff ready to roll and just get through it. This time we kept going back. We kept changing things around. We actually let it breathe a little bit and come to life. And it kind of shows in the music. It really does.
Where we also don't have the budget Tool does, where they write the entire album in the studio, piece by piece. They don't go in with any music pre-thought out, preconceived.
Just hit play. I'm gonna doodle for a minute. Or hit record. I'm gonna doodle for a minute.
There's a couple of those on that album. That's true. Yeah, I hear you. That's great that you had that luxury, and kind of helps also change how the final product comes out. It kind of changes what you do as a writer, right?
Yes. No, it really did. And we finished the recording in 2019. We were ready for a January release. We signed with the label, I think in February or March. So they were like, hey, you guys got to pull it down. We're going to re-release it, through the Orchard and through proper distribution and everything that went with that. So we had to yank it down. But what happened during that time was we kept getting pushed. So as the COVID lockdown hit in March, they had other bands on their label that already had releases ready to go. So everyone's releases got pushed, which pushed ours, especially being the new kids on the label. We all got pushed down the road. And as everyone out there that's ever written a song or done art, if you don't say it's done, you'll go back to it forever and keep tweaking it. So we had that chance. We called up Dave Klein and we're like, hey man, we're coming back in. He's like, hey, I thought we were done and mastered. No, man, we want to change a couple vocal things. We want to do a couple different things here. And the lockdown actually let us go back and work on it again, leading up to what we finished on. So tried to make the most out of 2020. We had the carpet yanked out from us, just like everyone else in the music world. And we tried to turn lemons into lemonade.
But also January, February, March, we had played a bunch of shows, done a few little mini tours. And for some of the songs, it wasn't until that point that we actually really got to play them and got to see people's reactions. And I think too, that's what inspired some of the modifications that we did back in the studio.
Yeah.
So
it was pretty funny. We had a record release party last Friday on Friday the 13th. And we had a guy come out, someone that's given us some pointers. I'm not going to call him a mentor, but he's definitely someone with some business savvy that's given us a little advice here or there. And he came out and him and his girl were like, this is not the same band we saw a year ago. And it was like, yeah, this is the same band. And they're like, no way, you guys are so much better. And it was like, well, band's not better. We just have had a year of playing these songs now. Because when they saw us the first time, we did a show in Santa Monica and had driven over from the studio, had been recording all day, and then drove over and played the show. And we're like playing these songs live that are still being created on the record. So for someone to tell me a year later, like, wow, you're such a different band. It's like, yeah, it makes a difference being able to play your music. Like Chuck is saying, getting out there, playing it, getting used to it, being able to play it live, but also getting some of that feedback on it. And it did drive us to go back in the studio and change things. So crowd reaction goes a long way. Definitely goes a long way.
Nice. What was that show like on Friday? How did that work out for you guys?
That's great.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Outdoor stage, good crowd. Yeah. It's a small club anyway, but the response was certainly, we were well received. Also.
Yeah, and then also, like you said, outdoor stage, small crowd, and sometimes it's not even about us playing when it comes to those crowds. It's about those crowds just being happy to see some live music, and the energy at the show was really good. People in the crowd were great. It was, I don't know, it was just a good show, and it just reminded us, like, oh yeah, remember back when you could play shows like this, or you remember at the beginning of 2020, so it was nice to see people having fun. People were being responsible, but still it was nice seeing people have fun and enjoy music, and all the bands were well received. It was a really good night.
Cool. I'm so glad to hear that. That's great. We need some hope going into the new year that we're going to get it all back to some level. That's my hope. And eventually. It's been brutal. I can't imagine. I never in my life dreamed it would be like almost a whole year with no shows. It's insane to me, but oh well.
Wild. Wild.
We'll pick it back up as soon as we can safely. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the music, right? Because there's a lot of cool stuff on here. I hear a lot of influences, but I wanted to hear from you guys, like, what are the things that you draw from that help you create the music of Celebrity Stalker?
So Keith, what is your favorite song? Which one?
Oh, on the record, probably the Celebrity Stalker song, because like one of my things as my long time as a music fan and a lover of music is, it's like a complete 50-50 crapshoot. The bands that have are either named for a song of theirs or have a song named for their band. Right down the middle, in my experience, they're either not great or they're awesome. So I really like the Celebrity Stalker. I had no expectations going in. Like, what's it gonna be? Like Beavis and Butthead. Hey Beavis, what's this? And it was cool. So like I really dug it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. That's usually like it's not scientific, but like if the band has a song named for them, or the album is named for, like maybe the title track of an album, or it's from a lyric. But if a band has a song named for them and it's good, it's usually a good indicator.
Right.
Okay.
Nice. So I mean, I got influences as a guitar player. I write most of the music, like, so most of the melodies and progressions are going to come from me. A lot of the orchestration and how we're going to put the composition, how that's going to go, comes from Chuck. And then Jason's our main lyricist. So he'll come with lyrical lines, he'll come with a melody, he may even come with a complete song. But for the most part, I'm the one that is going to produce the sonicness that you hear, the boom, that guitar crunch and all that. And my influences when I draw from stuff writing songs, I lock myself in my room, I turn out the lights, I play in the dark. I don't think of anyone else except for what I want out of my hands and my head. So I try not to be drawn by any influences, but my foundation for songwriting, it's Hendrix, it's Randy Rhoads, it's Rudolph Schenker, the Scorpions, it's James Hetfield, it's Slayer, it's Suicidal, and it's above it all else, it's Iron Maiden. Whether I know it or not, I write Iron Maiden riffs, trying to or not. And it's just because Maiden's Maiden, man. It's in our blood. Metalhead blood, that is.
Right on.
But that's me.
Yeah,
that's one guy.
I mean, I'm a huge Justin Bieber fan. You wouldn't know by our music. Actually, that's complete bullshit.
Show me your dance moves. Show me your dance moves real quick.
I can't in this room, unfortunately. But, I mean, I started playing in the 80s, so all of those horrible bands back then, down to Twisted Sister and Motley Crue were influences. Actually, AJ Para from Twisted Sister is a amazing drummer. He's dead now, but he did a lot of things over the years. And one of the things actually I really liked from him even back then, he always played a double bass even on the simplest riffs, and he always used both feet for everything he played, which most people don't. If they're drummers, they play right hand until they need to start running the bicycle, and then that left foot comes in. And so I kind of learned that from him, 30 years ago. But
when he was 2.
Exactly. Yeah. So more looking at today's stuff, and I do try to keep current with a lot of the bands that have come out in the last 5, 10, 15 years. Ray for Korn, I mean, he's a big influence of mine. I like everything he does. David, who played with Korn before, he was great as well, but he's been usurped now. And then a couple of Charlies. So Charlie Benante for Anthrax. I see you got your Anthrax shirt on. So he's one of my favorites. I saw him at NAMM actually last year. And then Charlie Engen that plays for, why am I going to forget this? Avenged Sevenfold now. And he's an amazing drummer. And he lives not too far from here, actually, in I think Orange County. Follow all the good drummers as much as possible. And I mean, in terms of musical influences, I'm really all over the map. But anybody that has a good drummer, I'll listen to him.
Right on.
Luckily, there isn't a lot of country music that has great drumming, so
you don't have to listen to much country. Yeah. You know what's funny when you asked about how we like write the songs or whatnot? I probably couldn't name you a band that's come out in the last 15 years. I don't pay attention to music. I just play it. And Jason and Charlie will tell me bands and I'll be like, wait, who is that again? I need to write that down. I need to follow some of these guys. But yeah, I put myself in some like secluded little box. Like I get influenced. Some of my riffs come out of listening to the train go by. Some of my riffs come out of listening to the Garbage Disposal. Like I literally come up with a chugga crank from listening to someone's old beater car try to start up in the morning. Like I don't know why or how that is, but I just don't get into other people's music very often. It's really weird. Like I hit a point where modern music just didn't entertain me anymore.
Actually, that's not that
odd. That modern music doesn't entertain me?
Most people stop listening to new music between 25 and 30.
Yeah, well, I listen to new punk. Most of the new bands I like are unsigned. So I like new music, but I like a lot of the new metal and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes it just sounds so cliche for me. Do you have your sweet picking guitar solo and your blast beat drums? And as long as you have those two things, no matter what happens in the middle, people are like, these guys rock. And I'm like, no, they really don't. They're cliche. They're just doing the standard movements. Where's the originality? Where's the nuance? And I feel like if you listen to too much music, you lose your own personal nuance, which I try to keep.
That's important. And, I think there's something to be said for kind of being in your own bubble and liking what you like. You name checked a lot of great bands and a lot of great artists and musicians. You have to just kind of stay true to yourself, I think, at the end of the day. And that matters. And I think it shows. I know you mentioned Maiden and Scorpions, and I do hear like those big heavy metal choruses and hooks. So that's always a good hallmark to have.
Right. And I mean the standards, and also I'm not trying to throw any shade on modern music. Like we were in Vegas last week or 2 weeks ago, Charlie and I, and we're driving around and he's got Ice Nine Kills on, and no, they shred, new music shreds, but it's so weird that I don't find something that makes them stand out. Like in the past, bands stood out more. Right now, like okay, so for one, ESP. I'm sponsored by ESP. Let's just get that out there. Best guitar company in the world. They endorsed me. Thank you very much, guys. But I watched their videos on their page, and they have all these guitar players, one after the other, that do these little demos. And if you blindfolded me, I couldn't tell you one from the other. They all sound the fucking same. They're doing the technical. Where's the soul? Where's the heart? Where's the passion? And that's where I think why I try to seclude or segregate myself from some music, is because if it's just technical, it could just be noise. Like, it's like, hey, how many notes do you need to throw in there? It's like, not one of those notes hits a sweet spot, and that's something
and I see this with drums as well. You can find 14, 16, 18-year-olds that they could top you on a technical scale, despite your 20, 30 years experience playing. They got the technical stuff, but they don't have the experience on putting something together. They can, what's the Rock Band video game? They're basically doing that.
Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
So they can play all the blast beats in the world or arpeggios like you wouldn't believe, but
right.
no application for it, and they don't know what to do with that other than sounds cool.
Yeah.
So.
I hear you. Yeah, it's a weird time. I think sort of there's a lot of factors. I think just kind of the YouTube and the ability to kind of a lot of playthrough videos and learn how to do it like videos, which I like and I've used myself, and I think also just kind of the advancement of gear and technology to train yourself, I think has sort of made a lot of people like almost like athletics, right? I'm awesome. I can run the mile fast, but I don't have the technique to run the marathon, kind of thing. They're different things inherently. Running a marathon versus a sprint are different things. So I think it's the same thing as a musician and a writer. And yeah, it's just one of those things. We live in a strange age where some of the things that are applauded confuse me. And other things like actually being able to write a song don't, like an actual 3 or 4 guys or one person that writes a great song all by themselves is not as celebrated. But it's weird. And there are also, I think, a lot of music fans don't appreciate that there are bands that have producers that come in and write an album for them that they then learn how to perform and record, as opposed to a band that writes their own stuff. That's a whole different animal. And I'm not slagging anybody, but that's a thing. And
you don't, I will,
for better or worse.
Yeah, what's weird is like it's not even metal or punk that is like this. It's just music in general. It's the industry. It's the amount of money that's available there. So the amount of investment that can be put in. It's like as the industry crumbles, things that they get picked up, they all need to sound alike, because that thing before it's sold, we need something that's going to sell. Like, you don't see as many risks anymore from the label side, from the people that are actually willing to push a band. They want more cookie cutter stuff because they're looking for the guarantee return. And, like I said, the sweep picking and the blast beats, well, the reason why those things are cliche is because they sell and people want to hear them. It's like, I could sit here on the outside and say, hey, I don't like that, but it doesn't matter, how many units are sold with that, it's like, hey, Larry, don't buy it then. But, these million fans are buying it. So it's weird what people like right now. I feel like we're in some weird transition. I mean, also not to go on too much of a tangent, but I feel like we have less musicians now. I feel like we have more people that are more on the electronic side and, getting into their art without having to fully master their instrument. And that doesn't mean they don't master one or play one, but I know quite a few people making good music that don't, that are not a master of any instrument. But man, they make some really cool beats, and they make some cool bass loops.
Nice. Just before we get completely off the rails and get off my lawn, and just me personally, not you guys, but let's talk a little bit about these music videos, because I wanted to ask about how you guys concepted them and when they were shot and things like that, because they're pretty cool.
So Thrill Seeker we shot last spring, actually right before, I think a week before most places were shut down for COVID. But it was still a little touch and go. We had some people that didn't want to come out for it, but most did. So yeah, basically at a house I was living at, we had a mini party and created a whole storyline and everything. Shot all of that in a day. So we got some friends that shot it, and then Jason, our bass player, we'll give him kudos for the editing job done on that. He pretty much stitched that whole thing together and synced it to the music and everything. So it's the only reason we keep him around.
Yeah, he does all our artwork and he does all our video production. Everything we do is in-house. We are a true do-it-yourself from top to bottom, and we kind of like it that way because then we can keep control of it. Especially when you have weird guys like me that are like, oh, I like only a certain thing. It's like, well, then good, just do it yourself. Keep it that way. But the Thrill Seekers video itself, though, that is the look inside the mind of a sociopath. So that treatment, I wrote up that treatment to go with the words for that song. And at the end of the day, what it really is it's partying all night and one night stands. And a one night stand, there's always a victim in a one night stand. It's rare that two people have a one night stand and walk away and went, oh, that was awesome. There's usually one guy that went, or a girl that goes, thank you. And the other one's like, I'm in love. Can we go out tomorrow? You know what I mean? So you'll notice the girl in the end, she sits up, she's not really dead. She's scarred by that guy, and that treatment. But it looks like a little movie and it looks like a little horror movie. But it's really just think about how you treat people, man. Think about how you treat people. Think about the people you interact with and how they feel when you walk away, because you can leave a trail of victims without even trying. And that's kind of that video.
Heavy. I dig it, though. I dig it. Just as we close this up, I just wanted to kind of ask you guys about any current plans, plans for more shows locally, at least until things can return to some sense of normalcy. What's going on with you guys for the rest of the year and beyond?
So there is probably not going to be any more shows this year. We might be doing one in January, but it depends on how things go with COVID and everything. But what we do have coming up is February of next year. We have a single coming out for a song that's a crowd favorite. We have a song called Your Mom. And it's about,
it's everything you think it's about.
It's everything you think it's about, man. It really is. The story, the urban legend that our old singer told was 3 football players. They used to always ditch school, or they used to always hang out. And all of a sudden one of them started ditching school and they couldn't figure it out. And they went to that guy. The 2 that weren't at school, they went to one of their house and found their 3rd friend having sex with that dude's mom. That's why he started ditching school. The mom she was stealing from the cookie jar, man. She was playing with children. But anyway, so we wrote a song about it, and that's coming out on February 14th. It's going to be New Year or Valentine's Day 2021. It'll have a video. We're in pre-production on the video now, but with COVID, what we're working on and what our plans are, and I think what a lot of bands' plans are, is to release some singles and some videos and at least get content out there for fans if you can't get out there and play shows.
Content's the way to go. I like the romantic angle, sort of, for Valentine's Day 2021. We'll keep an eye out for your mom. Yikes. And but good stuff anyway. Nice getting to know you guys and hear your story. I appreciate you sharing. Congrats on Year of the Thief, Celebrity Stalker. And yeah, man, we'll be looking out for you guys and more stuff from you in the new year. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you to all your viewers and listeners. Thanks for having us on, and keep on rocking.